Hey guys, welcome to the video for Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree. My name is Ventus SGN. In this Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree video, I'm going to show you two pretty powerful builds for the Dark Moon Greatsword. The Dark Moon Greatsword is a base game colossal greatsword that combines intelligence and strength into the perfect weapon. Now really quickly, before I show you these two builds, do me a favor if you're new here and sub to the channel with notifications on, and also like the video. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, so the first version of this build I want to show you is more of an all-around safer build that still does incredible damage, but it's focused more on breaking a boss's stance to ensure a critical attack. The way that I have my stats for this build are, my vigor is going to be at 59, my mind at 55, endurance at 55, strength at 50, dexterity 12, intelligence all the way at 80, and faith at 38 with arcane at 9. For the armor I'm wearing is the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC set called the Rakshasa armor set. It increases your damage output while also increasing the damage that you receive. For talisman, I'm using the Shard of Alexander to boost the attack power of skills, the two-handed sword talisman from the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC. It enhances attacks of weapons held in two hands. Then there's the claw talisman to enhance jump attacks, which will help with breaking a boss's stance so you can land those critical attacks. And finally, the Dragon Crest shield to give a little bit of protection if you should ever happen to get hit. For the Mixed Wondrous Physic, I'm using the Opaline Hard tier to boost damage negation and the Magic Shroud and Crack tier to boost magic attacks. Spells for this build are the same three that I always use, and that's going to be Blessing of the Erdtree for slight healing over time, Golden Vow for enhanced attack and defense, and Flame Grant Me Strength for increased physical and fire affinity attack power. The way that I use this build in boss fight combat is starting off by buffing up with the three spells, Blessing of the Erdtree for the heals over time, Golden Vow for the combat buff, and then Flame Grant Me Strength for a little extra physical damage. Next, use the Mixed Physic and finally activate the sword and of course summon Spirit Ashes to get the boss's attention. Now, when it comes to actually fighting the bosses, I generally try to go for as many jump heavy attacks as I can, as this is the fastest way to break a boss's stance. Charged heavy attacks with this sword while its skill is active shoots out a magic projectile that deals a nice chunk of damage while also building up frost on the target, which when they are frostbitten, they will have reduced defenses and thus will take even more damage from normal attacks. Take advantage of the ranged attack as often as possible with this version of the build, allowing the boss to target your Spirit Ashes so you can keep blasting them with the Moonlight Greatsword attack. When their stamina is finally broken, go in for the critical attack, and afterwards during their recovery frames, hit them with another charged heavy attack. If the sword skill runs out, wait until your Spirit Ashes is aggro again and just reactivate it. Keep alternating between jump heavy attacks and charged heavy attacks, both close and far. Close range charged heavy attacks are this build's most powerful weapons, so it's important that your Spirit Ashes attract the boss's attention at some point so you can whack it. Now, just as a disclaimer, bosses like Mesmer or Malekith move around far too often and far too fast for this build to be super effective, so I suggest using this build on slower moving bosses with more predictable attack patterns. The second version of this build is a bit stronger, focusing more on charged attack damage with a higher intelligence and higher endurance. The way that I have the stats for this build are as follows. My vigor is going to be at 60 this time, with mind at 30, endurance at 70, dexterity at 12, intelligence at 90, faith at 25, and arcane at 9. The armor for this build is still going to be the Rakshasa armor set, though feel free to swap it out for something else that doesn't have the increased damage received penalty. For the talisman this time, I'm going with the Shard of Alexander, the Axe talisman to boost charged attacks, the Godfrey icon, and the Dragon Crest shield. Spells for this version of the build are just Golden Vow and Flame Grant Me Strength. You can use Blessing's Boon for lesser heals over time for zone clearing and exploring, as well as Lightning Spear as a primary attack spell, but honestly the Moonlight Greatsword attack is all you need for attack magic. For the Mixed Wondrous Physic, use the Opaline Hard tier with the Spiked Crack tier this time to boost charged attack power. How I use this version of build in boss fight combat is similar to the first, the only difference being is more damage is given with charged heavy attacks at close range, so trying to get some more of those off on a boss is a priority. Since intelligence is still pretty high, using those ranged magical attacks from the sword still pack quite a punch, more than in the first build, but for certainty you will want to use your Spirit Ashes to get boss aggro so you can hit it as many times as you can with close range charged heavy attacks. Jump heavy attacks are still very viable here as well to break enemy stance. Alright, and that's going to be it for these two builds. Let me know down in the comments which of these two builds works best for you and any alterations that you had to make it fit your playstyle, because I'm always open to hearing what works for you, because it might help me make improvements on future builds. If you did enjoy this video, be sure to leave a like, and also check out my other Elden Ring videos by heading to my channel and checking out my playlist for Elden Ring. My name is Ventus SGN. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day. Peace out.